think of something on the plane tomorrow. Yeah.
So my favorite scene probably in Lord of the Rings is the scene where you run after Frodo after he gets on the boat and you're like, Gandalf told me not to leave you, Mr. Frodo. I just think that one's really, you know, inspiring. But what was your favorite scene to film? Or
Well, you know the story about that scene, right? You know the story? It's a known story that that scene was that I was injured doing that scene because the you know, the crew, they did their best to rake up the, you know, ground underneath the water, the shallow water, because when you're running it, we have the Hobbit feet on. The Hobbit feet are really thin, poly, whatever it's called, and it's glued to your feet. So it's really bad. I actually had to have, like, it's bad. It's hard for you. It's hard to walk around in after a while. I mean, it's comfortable when you first stand in, it's kind of squishy, but then, like, when you're running up the shale side of a volcano, it cuts into you. I mean, Elijah probably had the most cuts, but we all, you know, we bled for the job. But this one particular day, I went running in there, Mr. Frodo, right? And when I got in there, my foot came down on what I think was a broken beer bottle. And it pierced right through the prosthetic foot into, like, through my skin right to the bone. And it was, I mean, oh, that pain was so intense. So I come back out and I'm sitting down, they pull up an apple box, or those little boxes, you know, that they use on the movie sets. So I sit on the apple box and they've got the thing up and they, you know, Elijah comes down and they cut the thing open. And this is gross, sorry, but they cut the thing open, this big, like, pool of blood just pours out and it was like blood clots on it. And it was holding the blood in there, but as soon as they opened it, I remember the medic going, yes, it's bleeding quite freely now. I'm an American, I'm all about freedom, but man, not about the blood. And Elijah had a stick and he was poking the blood clot. Peter Jackson was like, stop it with the blood clot. I'm like, Peter's trying to play with the blood clot, it's fine. So then they brought in a helicopter. We were on this, you know, gravelly road we were at an alpine lake. You had to take a gravel road like an hour to get to, and then once you got to the main road, the little road that wasn't gravel, it took another hour to get to the hotel. So I mean, we were really, you know, we were far out. So they called in a helicopter, and in comes this guy. My little daughter was 3, Allie was 3, and we get in the helicopter, and the pilot happens to be the same pilot who worked for Jacques Cousteau. So there's an adventure. Jacques Cousteau's pilot lifts us up, and it was Allie's first helicopter ride, and it made the DVD. So, you know, it's actually falling out of popular consciousness now. You're one of the last sort of holdouts, I guess. My favorite scene would probably be the scene that was shown in the clip here. I mean, I was finally glad to fight somebody when I got to hit the orcs with a pot and a pan. That was pretty good. I'd sat around like whining for 8 months, so they let me hit something. That was good. And so anything with sword play was good. But the scene in the wind, he's just sort of in the window in the Osgiliath ruins where he's looking out at the decimated city and the big, you know, Nazgul or whatever it's called is flying over. That scene wasn't in the original movie. It was after September 11th in response to what was instantly a global mood change, a global kind of recalculation of our, you know, whatever. And they wrote that scene. So when I got it through the fax machine in my house and it said, you know, it's like in the great tales, Mr. Frodo, the ones that really matter, the folk in those stories had lots of chances of turning back, only they didn't. They were holding on to something. What are we holding on to? That there's some good left in the world. Like when I read it, I was like, whoa, this is great. This is great. And then we went there and we did it, and it was just glorious. That's probably my favorite scene. That or kissing Rosie. Just kidding. No, I was kidding. That sounds nicer than the bloody ones. Somebody else? Anybody else? No? We all finished? Yeah.
How long did it, first of all, sorry you had to go through that. First of all, sorry you had to go through that pain.
It's a good story. Thank you, though. It's a good story.
But I was wondering, how long did it take you to do each of the separate movies?
Well, we didn't do them separately. We made it as if there was one long movie, or you could say we did them all concurrently.
Oh, okay.
So on any given day, we filmed the beginning of the first movie and the end of the third movie, or some of the second movie and the end of the first. You know, it just was all one big story to us. And every now and then we'd arrive at a scene that was meant to be the conclusion of one of the movies or the start of one of the others, and you think, oh, okay. But it was about 2 years, And you know, that was just for the actors. The folks developing all the special effects and the miniatures and everything, they were there for years before us, and then it took them 3 years after that. You know, it took them a year each movie to finish the movie that was coming out. So after the first one came out, it took them a year, 7 months to finish the movie that was coming out the following year, and like that. Yeah, a long time.
Last question. Last question.
Hi, I guess it's been a long time since the movies have come out. Do you ever miss your cast members, or do you guys ever get together and have reunions or keep in touch?
Well, it's 10 years now. It's 10 years since we started filming the movie. It's like a heart attack in it. Jeez. 10 years. Yeah, I miss them. I'm sure we all miss each other. Others may get together more frequently. I haven't seen anybody in a long time. Elijah and I both worked with a Make a Film Foundation. It's associated, I think, loosely associated with Make-A-Wish Foundation, but the idea was that if a kid wants to make a movie, someone who's, this one boy that we worked with had like 400 surgeries or some awful thing, and I don't know if he was, what his survival, chances were, but he had this idea to make a movie, so they got professional writer, professional director, actors, everybody to help. He had, I guess Elijah had gotten together the year before to give some guidance, or I don't know what his interaction was, but then I showed up for a day to play the father of the kid who was in the hospital, and so I thought I might get to see him that day, but I'm sure we'll all see each other soon. I mean, somebody will probably do. Actually, Vigo, I just sent Vigo a letter. He sent a letter back, so that was cool to connect him that way. But yeah, but we all have the tattoos still, even though I'm not going to show them. Anyway, everybody, thank you so much for the hospitality. I really appreciate it.